The rain poured relentlessly over the quiet streets of Portland, Oregon, turning the city into a blur of glowing streetlights reflecting off wet asphalt. Inside a dimly lit office building, Nathan Cole, a single dad balancing life between his demanding job and raising his 7-year-old son, Caleb, wiped his hands on his worn work shirt. Exhaustion weighed heavily on his shoulders, but tonight, something in the air felt different. It wasn't just the storm outside. It was the way the office seemed to hum with anticipation. Tonight was the annual company gala, a rare occasion where employees loosened their ties, left spreadsheets behind, and allowed themselves to be human. Nathan, who spent most of his nights tucking Caleb into bed with stories about nights and distant galaxies, felt out of place in his dress shirt and scuffed shoes. Yet he had promised himself he would show up, at least for a few hours. As he stood awkwardly near the punch table, he noticed her. Rebecca Hayes, his boss, the woman everyone admired and feared in equal measure. She carried herself with effortless grace, her laughter lighting up the room in a way that reminded Nathan of sunlight breaking through clouds. There was a softness beneath her sharp intelligence, a vulnerability she rarely let anyone see. Before Nathan could overthink it, his son's voice echoed in his mind. "Dad, sometimes you just have to take a chance." He smiled at the thought and walked toward Rebecca, rehearsing a joke he hoped wouldn't sound foolish. "Marry me," he said, his voice barely above the music, but enough to reach her ears. The room seemed to hold its breath. Nathan immediately regretted it, expecting a polite laugh or an awkward glare. Instead, Rebecca froze for a split second, then smiled. Not just a polite smile, but one that reached her eyes, warm and genuine. It was a smile that seemed to strip away every barrier, every fear, and every layer of doubt Nathan had wrapped around himself for years. If there was ever a moment where life paused, it was right there. Nathan felt something inside him shift, a warmth that had nothing to do with the gala lights or the soft piano playing in the corner. In that instant, the man who juggled diaper changes, late-night homework, and endless bills felt seen. Truly seen. If you believe in the power of kindness, second chances, and the beauty of unexpected moments, like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel now. The evening continued, and Nathan found himself walking beside Rebecca toward the balcony, away from the crowded floor. Rain still tapped against the glass, and the city's lights shimmered like distant stars. They talked, not about work, not about deadlines, not about the pressures that usually consume their lives, but about small, simple things, childhood memories, favorite books, dreams deferred and rediscovered. Nathan shared stories about Caleb, about the little victories and endless challenges of raising a child alone. Rebecca listened intently, laughing at the right moments, her eyes softening with understanding. She shared pieces of her own past, the loneliness behind her driven exterior, and the longing for a life that was more than boardrooms and spreadsheets. In that exchange, barriers dissolved, leaving two souls unexpectedly open to possibility. But life rarely gives such moments without challenge. Nathan's past insecurities, failures he had blamed himself for, fears of rejection, the weight of being a single parent, crept into his thoughts. Could a connection with his boss survive outside this fleeting evening? Could someone like Rebecca ever truly understand the chaos and responsibility of his life? Doubt threatened to steal the magic of the night. Rebecca seemed to sense his hesitation. She placed a hand on his arm, grounding him in the moment, and smiled again, the same smile that had melted his defenses earlier. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "the life we imagine is already waiting for us. We just have to recognize it when it arrives." Nathan felt the truth of her words settle over him like a gentle rain. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to hope, not just for romance, but for a partnership, for someone who could share the burdens, joys, and quiet nights of life. The gala ended, but neither of them left immediately. They lingered, standing close, sharing more laughter and unspoken understanding. Nathan thought of Caleb, who had asked him the week before why his dad never seemed happy. This night, he realized, was the answer he had been searching for, not just happiness, but a sense that life could be fuller, richer, more beautiful than he had dared to imagine. Weeks passed after the gala, and Nathan and Rebecca navigated the delicate space between colleagues and something more. They discovered mutual respect deepened by affection, care strengthened by shared vulnerability. Nathan introduced Caleb to Rebecca in a tentative, cautious step that soon became one of the most natural moments of his life. Caleb took to her instantly, his small hand gripping hers as if recognizing a safe harbor he had been waiting for. Challenges remained, of course. Balancing love and parenthood, work and life, past wounds and new beginnings, none of it was simple. But each challenge was met with laughter, patience, and the kind of quiet courage that only emerges when two people choose to face life together. One evening, after putting Caleb to bed, Nathan and Rebecca sat together in the living room, the soft glow of the lamp casting warm shadows around them. Nathan, heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and fear, repeated the joke from the gala, but this time with sincerity. "Marry me," he said again, not as a joke, but as a promise. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears, and she nodded, the smile he had fallen for lighting her entire face. It wasn't just a smile anymore. It was the beginning of a life neither had dared to hope for alone. Sometimes, life surprises you when you least expect it. A single dad burdened by responsibility and self-doubt, and a brilliant, driven boss carrying her own loneliness, found each other in a moment of levity and honesty. From a joke, a spark was born. From a spark, love grew, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary things begin with the simplest gestures and the smallest leaps of faith. If this story touched your heart, please comment below and share your thoughts. Your words inspire others to believe in love, hope, and second chances. As rain continued to tap gently against the windows outside, Nathan realized that life wasn't about perfection. It was about moments like these, raw, unguarded, real. The laughter of a child, the warmth of a hand in yours, and the smile that changes everything. That night, Portland's storm outside mirrored the storm of emotions inside, but it was a storm Nathan wouldn't have traded for anything, because sometimes, one smile, one moment of courage, is all it takes to change a life forever. Remember, viewers, if you felt your heart swell with this story, hit like, comment, share, and subscribe.